Oh my days, right, okay. I've never done this before, but we're ending the vlog early. We're going to have to get to the 360 stuff on next week's vlog. Guys, my Grail has just not only become available, but I've got it. It's bought and paid for. I managed to track his number down from the guy that had the listing. I'll explain all this at a later point. Let's go. Retro Ghetto. Okay, guys, so this is actually happening. I say many times how the word Grail gets thrown around. I'm guilty of it. This isn't a Grail, this is the Grail. There's two things I've got, like, you know, some people have like a hall pass with their partners where they, I don't know, if you meet Beyonce, you're allowed. Well, there's two things I've got a hall pass for, but they don't involve the fairer sex. They involve me spending large amounts of my savings as and when these things become available, right? That's in the T's and C's of my partnership contract. One of them's come available. I've been hunting this since 2018. So yeah, what, 6 years now? I've never even been aware of one in the country. Never mind for it to show up, of all places, in Nottingham. So only an hour away. I randomly checked through eBay. You know, I mentioned on that video that I did with Kev how I don't look at eBay much anymore. And I was sat editing the vlog and I was thinking to myself, right, don't get distracted. Edit, and something crept in my mind, right? Crept in and said, check eBay, check eBay. And I saw this, and we'll get into price and all that later, but I saw it for a price, but the name of the seller was like a shop or like a pawnbroker's type thing. So I thought, well, I don't want to go in with an offer, right? Because it was a large amount or best offer. And when you want something so badly, you don't know where to go with the offer, because obviously it's a lot of money. I don't want to spend that much. Equally, I don't want to lose out because I made a silly offer or whatever, right? So anyway, I'm just waffling. The adrenaline's running, right? I've not even got any fuel in my car. I don't care. I'll run there. Anyway, as you can tell, my brain is going at 1,000 miles an hour. So I was able to get the phone number, and after speaking to about 3 different branches and 4 different people, I finally spoke to the right person. I mean, he wasn't the happiest of people, I can tell you, because I sort of was like, oh, I've seen this on eBay. I'm happy to cut out eBay. And he's like, no, I'm not cutting out eBay. We're not allowed. Okay, mate. I was only trying to save you money at the end of the day. I guess myself. But yeah, he wasn't having that. But I was like, yeah, cool, whatever. And we negotiated on the phone, which was great. So we agreed a price. I said, look, I'm going to make this offer straight away. If you accept it, I'm going to jump in my car. So I sent the offer, and it must have been 15, 20 minutes. And I was getting nervous, man, during that 15, 20 minutes. I'm thinking to myself, what's happening? Has somebody else made an offer? Have they looked it up? Do they know it's worth more? Anyway, and it like I think it had a few watches. It hadn't been live long, because it said like X amount of people have viewed it today. Anyway, I'm digressing again. So he accepted it eventually. I was supposed to be picking up the kids. I was doing all sorts, right? I was editing the vlog. I had to just stop everything. I had to arrange for somebody to look after the kids. Right, I had to jump out. I said to Mrs. RG, it's happening, code 1. She rolled her eyes, but like I say, she knows, right? It's part of the T's and C's. So anyway, I'm now on my way. I'm approximately halfway there, but another half an hour or so to go. I'm going to get this thing, we're going to collect it. I can't really show you too much of it because I don't want the unveil to be bits and pieces in some warehouse somewhere. But once we get back, I'll get it built and I'll show you this thing in all its glory. Oh man, I genuinely didn't think this day would come. But yeah, we're here, let's go. Right, we're here. I wasn't sure if I was here, and then I saw it in the window. You can't miss it. Right, let's get it loaded up. Must be it. Okay, clear the smoke. Enough dramatic music. That's right, I bought a life-sized Kratos, my favourite character from my favourite video game franchise. Now, before we go into this in a bit more detail, look at exactly what this is, how much it costs, etc., I want to show this clip way back from when I just started on YouTube, just about 4 years ago now.
This is a Grail piece. This is something that is very high on my wish list. It's very expensive, it's hard to get a hold of, but I'm determined to actually get this at some point. After I said we're going to be moving soon, so I have a bigger room. And yeah, I'm hoping that this will feature in that new Man Cave 3.0, as I'm calling it, at some point. And that is a life-size Kratos. As you guys know, I'm a huge God of War fan. I have to have this. But at some point, if I play the patient game, I'm hoping one will come up for the right price. And yeah, so that's definitely on the list for sure.
So there you go, as you've just heard, and excuse the questionable Christmas jumper, this is something I've been hunting for a very long time. It's been my #1 grail alongside a couple of other very big and heavy hitting items, but yeah, this has been the one thing I've been wanting for, well, as long as I've been serious about collecting. I've been over many times before why I have such a strong affinity to the God of War franchise. That's the game that got me back into gaming. God of War 3 was what pulled me back in from the dormant years of not really doing much gaming, you know, being a young man, doing all the things that come along with being a young man. God of War 3 got me back into it, and then when God of War 2018 came along and he came back onto the scene with his son, it literally came out a couple of weeks after my firstborn son came along as well, so it was like mirroring. And I love every single God of War game. I've played through them all, and yeah, if you want any further proof, I've even got the man himself inked on my arm. So yeah, whilst this is not the first life-size figure that I've owned, I did have a Link statue from, I think it was Twilight Princess. I've since moved that on, I just didn't have the space for it. I've also, behind him, I've got Master Chief. I love that Master Chief figure. I think it's a fantastic piece, one of my favourite pieces in my collection and in this games room. But whilst I do enjoy the Halo games, and I think it's a fantastic piece, I don't have a huge affinity to Halo. It's not my favourite franchise, which is, you know, why I've wanted this guy. And sometimes you can covet things, you can want them a long time. I think we've all done it as collectors, and then you finally get them, and maybe it's a bit extreme to say it's anticlimactic, but it's like, oh, you own it now. This is not the case with this Kratos. So I've had this for like a few days now. It's been a mad few days, but we'll get into that on the vlog. And I've just been regularly coming in here, opening the door, and just staring at this guy. I'm somewhat in awe of it. I really am. It's better than I imagined it to be. The quality of the detail on this is, oh, it's unbelievable. This is actually made by NECA. So NECA are widely known for being action figure creators. I've actually got this exact statue, the 2018 Kratos, in like the 6-inch, the 18-inch, and now in the 6'4" version of this NECA Kratos. And yeah, I've got to say, like, the detail on it, second to none. Even the back of it, I was saying to Mrs. RG, like, it's mad how much detail's in the back of this thing, when you'd imagine the vast majority of these things will be up against a wall or somewhere in a shop front maybe, where you wouldn't see all those details. You'll be seeing it on screen now, and it's just absolutely stunning. So this breaks down into two pieces. So the older, like, Momox things, the bigger, more shop display items, they break down into several pieces, and they're very heavy. They're like a real solid, heavy, like maybe like a poly resin or something like that. Whereas this is a lot lighter. It only splits into two pieces, 3 with the axe, but the main part of this body splits into 2. It was very interesting driving home with this on the passenger seat. If anybody saw me on Brian Clough Way going from Nottingham to Derby with Kratos sat in the front seat, yeah, it must have been quite a sight. But yeah, he splits in half. And then the legs are actually very heavy because the feet are weighted, so that's what keeps him not falling over. It's just exquisitely made. I could not be happier with this thing, and I'm going to be honest, when I first put it in here and I stood there and I looked at it and his piercing eyes were looking down at me, I genuinely felt like demasculated. I don't remember feeling like that since I remember going to Twycross Zoo, and there was like a silverback gorilla that just came up to the glass and looked at me, and I was like, alright, I'm not the alpha in this situation. And it's kind of like that with Kratos, man. He cuts such an imposing figure, it really does. This is my new gym motivation. This thing stands about, as it is, it stands somewhere between 6'4" and 6'5", which I think he's supposed to be about 6'7", which is bang on, because if you look at his pose, he's got his leg bent, his neck slightly down, so he would stand about 6'6", 6'7" if he was stood upright. It's just everything I could want. It is probably the favourite piece of my entire collection. I've spoken many times before, like, I love video games. This whole thing is about video games, the fact that I can sit in here, play them, enjoy them, and all that good stuff, but most video games are attainable if you've got the funds to do so, right? If you've got the money, you can buy 99.99% of games via eBay or wherever. Whereas like promotional pieces, things that were never really on general sale, display pieces, standees, statues, that's like where my real passion is. I think it's like, I don't know, I think it's just the fact that they're very hard to obtain. A lot of these things were never designed to be for sale. This has actually bucks that trend a little bit. This was always for sale. It was just very difficult to get, especially here in the UK. I think because it was NECA, and NECA make things generally to sell, toys, it was always available for sale, but it was somewhere around £1,500 to £2,000 or dollars, depending on where you are in the world. And at the time, there was none available in the UK, so you'd be paying that again in shipping. So you're looking at least £3,000 to have got this here. Over time, there have been a few more trickle into the country. I've looked since I bought this one, actually, and it is now cheaper, and it's on sale, and I think you can get it in the UK. But you're looking at sort of like £1,600 to get it posted. And forgive me if I'm repeating myself, I don't know if I mentioned this at the back end of last week's vlog or on the way to go and pick this up, but it just randomly came about. I was just flicking through eBay. This has been a safe search for, like I said, 6 years. It came up, I looked at it. Not only was it a relatively affordable price, it was £1,000 it was listed at, but even more importantly was the fact it was in Nottingham, because these are things that are obviously going to be collection only, right? Now, Nottingham's about an hour away, depending, no matter where it is in Nottingham, right? So, yeah, and then I saw that it was like a pawn shop. So I managed to ring the guy, and we made a deal. I managed to get this for £775, so £775. Not a cheap number by any means. I've sold many things over the years. When I moved into this room, I sold a large amount of stuff. I sold a lot of Street Fighter figures. I sold more Street Fighter action figures, total value, than the cost of this entire thing, just to put it into perspective. Also sold kiosks, standees, numerous things. A lot of that money got repopulated back into the collection over time, but also some of it went into the one day fund, right? That little bit squirreled away that if there's a couple of things where if they become available, the right price, the right time, it's getting bought. And that day was the break in case of emergency day. So yeah, like I say, the way I get things that I really want, the larger, rarer pieces, I don't hang about. I'm going now. I'll jump in my car and I go and get them immediately. I did that with my store display original PlayStation Lite. I did that with my Grand Theft Auto San Andreas standees. There's been numerous things over the years. I did it with my Xbox store display Lite. Yeah, if I want something really badly and it's collection only and it's within an hour-ish, maybe two, depending on what it is, I'm going right now. I'm making it happen. We did it with the Halo one as well, sorry. A little man was supposed to go to bed. I was like, get your pajamas, get your coat on, we're going on a journey. We're going on a mission. And for me, I just love those missions, man. And we're going to look at this thing in a little bit more detail shortly. But I think, like now the dust has settled, you saw how excited I was on the day. For me, my takeaway from it is this crazy collecting journey, man. And that's what I love about it, because you never know. I woke up that day full of man flu, you know what I mean? Like just another day. And any day could be that day as a collector where your grail becomes available. Any day could be that day where someone sends you a message, you get a phone call, you see it on your eBay listings, where that one thing that you want more than anything that you've been hunting for so many years could come available. You never know what day it's going to be. Could be a wet Tuesday in October. And yeah, that day was my day. And like I say, for me, the biggest thing is that there's not 1 ounce of me that is disappointed in this. If anything, this has over-exceeded my expectations as to what this figure would be like. Having it in this room is genuinely crazy. It doesn't come through on camera. It does not. I've took so many photos of this to send to family and friends and stuff. It doesn't come through on camera what it's actually like here. It almost feels like there's somebody here. It feels like there's a physical, like, domineering thing right behind me. It's just mad. I can't really describe it. Obviously, the next big question is going to be, where's it going to go? Like, that's what Mrs. RG must have asked me 27 times since I picked it up. And the answer is, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't want to get rid of Master Chief because I love that as well. I feel like that's a big part of the 3.0, right? That's like a staple in this room. That's like the first thing I put in here when we built this room. I put him in the corner and almost built around it. There's one thing's for sure, Kratos is going in here. And hopefully we can have both Master Chief and Kratos together. I'm planning on putting them together, making them square up to each other. So hopefully you'll be seeing that on overlay now. The ultimate showdown, right? There can't be many games rooms in the world that have got a life-size Master Chief and a life-size Kratos to square up to each other. I actually don't know any other games room or any other person or collector or YouTuber that's got this. They are available, like I say, you can buy them. They're just not cheap. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say, guys. If you know me, if you know the channel, you know how much of a big fan and how much like the God of War franchise means to me. And there's genuine grails, right? Genuine grails. There's not many left. There's probably 2 other pieces that I would hold on the same regard as this. And in all honesty, they'd both cost a lot more money. And in all honesty, I don't know how they would go in this room. I'd have to get rid of things to get them in. So this is definitely the most affordable, and as big and cumbersome as this is, it's probably the easiest one to get in the room in terms of accessibility. But yeah, absolutely delighted. But let's take a closer look at it anyway. Okay, so looking at it there, it's a shame he can't live there. I think he looks really cool. The only real issue here, I mean, there's a few issues. Obviously this is quite a tight gap. But bigger than that is the fact I can't recline, so there's no way he could live there. But theoretically, it's a very cool place for him because it just gives loads of different angles of real cool things in the game room. We're going to get to where he's going more on Sunday's vlog. There's loads planned for Sunday's vlog, but you know, quite a large part of it is going to be rearranging the room, finding a home for Kratos, as well as the Black Country Game Fair and a load of other good stuff. But I just really wanted to take this time just to give those that care enough a real detailed look. So if anybody really wants to see all the details on this guy, this will be the one time that I sort of, you know, show every inch of this figure. And in a way I'm doing this for myself as well, because I haven't had time to really take into account all the little details. You can see here on the axe as well. And this thing, I've not really mentioned condition. It's in perfect condition. If anything, and this is how much of a nitpick it is, that. It almost looks like this axe is grey underneath. That there is as bad as anything is on this whole statue. So yeah, that says a lot, right? So the axe itself, as I say, this is a separate piece. The easiest thing to do was to slide it in from the bottom. So you slide it in down that way, and then it just goes into his hands, which are obviously designed to hold it. But yeah, fantastic details on his bandages throughout the arms. And they made really good use of it here. So this is the secondary piece, the torso, and it just sits nicely in that sort of waistband there. It's not really coming through on camera, but the scar tissue he's got here, that's like a gloss. So that's been done in like a different effect. Again, all these little details, the ash of the skin, the fur, yeah, the metallic effects. The only thing he's missing is Mimir. I'd love it if he had a Mimir on the back. Probably like an interchangeable one. I think in an ideal world, you'd have a Mimir that you could take off, maybe put to the front or put in his hand, because obviously if he had a big head here, it would limit as to where he could go and go up against walls. I see why they didn't do it, because this is 2018 Kratos, remember. So obviously it was only part way through the game that he met Mimir and then attached him to his back, etc. So, you know, a bit of a spoiler alert, I guess, if you're going to bring something out like this prior to people having played the game. We'll go around the other side in a second. I'm a bit limited by space, but you can see what I was saying about all the details on the back, like this fur. This is obviously a pivotal part in the game. This is what the axe sits in there. And yeah, the head itself. All the way to the top, look. All the little details. The eyes, again, are gloss, similar to the scar detail that we spoke about. And the face is perfect. It's an absolute perfect sculpt. Try and squeeze past here. And that's the other thing, right? I'm squeezing past here. I don't feel like I have to handle this with kid gloves. We've seen with Kratos where I broke it the other week. That's very, not brittle, but because it's so solid, like if it drops, it breaks, it's going to crack. This, it's like a rubber. There's got like a little bit of a squeeze to it. Look, you can see them. So it's a very different material. It's a lot more giving. It doesn't feel like, I feel like if this fell over, not that I'd want it to, I don't think it would break. It'd probably break several other things in here. But yeah, I think it's going to survive the test of time really well. And now you can see those details on the back here a bit more. And going down to the horn, and again, the different runes I was looking for, that's the word. And yeah. Right down to the feet, and as I say, the feet must have some sort of weighting in them or metal, because the legs are very heavy, and that's what keeps him in position. And I love that, because some of the older statues, the Momox ones like him, they come on these big stands, like bases. I got rid of the base. They take up so much floor space, whereas like this, it really means you can manipulate it. You can get it in cupboards, you could have this bit sticking in between billies, and there's a lot more options with it. And for scale, there's my Lara Croft. I've also still got my life-size Ryu bust down here as well, and we've got Kratos on the throne down here. I don't want to get rid of Kratos on the throne, but if I'm being honest, I'm struggling to find a home for him, and now I've got a life-size Kratos. I guess it does make it a little bit easier to potentially get rid of my Kratos on the throne. Guys, that is going to do it for this week's episode. Massive thank you for everyone that's taken the time to watch. I just want to know in the comment section below what you think of this Kratos statue, and also what your grail is. What's your number one grail? Is it something rare? Is it a game? Is it something that's harder to find? Is it something that's just ridiculously priced? I'd love to know, man. These are just the sort of things that I think it'd be fascinating to sort of all share below, see what everyone's individual grails are, and who knows, there might even be someone in there that's willing to sell one to you. But yeah, as always, massive thank you for everybody that's taken the time to watch. If you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so. On Sunday, like I say, we're going to be moving this room around. We're going to find a permanent home for this bad boy, and we've got loads of other fantastic stuff as well. We've got the Black Country Game Fair, all my pickups from that, and yeah, thanks again. Play your games, keep it retro. In a bit, let's go. RG Jr. loves God of War just as much as I do, so I want to film his reaction. Come in! What do you think? Huh? Amazing. Stand next to him. See how big you are compared to him. Boy. Whoa. Cut.
Lock into the Retro Ghetto. Come and have a look around the ghetto. We got Sonic and Staples settle. Lock into the Retro Ghetto.